Boston wins it in overtime.
Brady can shot, breakaway shoots, scores!
Welcome to Sens Talk. My name is Brandon and I am your host. Today, Ottawa took on the Boston Bruins in Boston in a back-to-back situation, of course, on the road as they're playing in Boston. And my God, this is a tough matchup for the Ottawa Senators. They're starting their fourth-string goaltender in Kevin Mandolese, and of course, they're in a back-to-back situation. Anytime you're in a back-to-back situation, it's tough, let alone the fact they had to fly over to Boston. So the boys are going to be tired. It's an afternoon game as well. So honestly, everyone, including myself, was expecting a loss today, to be honest with you. It definitely was, quote-unquote, a scheduled loss. A point or two out of this game, I would have been absolutely ecstatic. And I'm saying this right now because, look, Ottawa against the Bruins this year has actually had some success. Frankly, Ottawa's been the best team against the Bruins this season. No team outside of Ottawa has performed as well as they have against this team. They're 2-0 against the Bruins this year. Maybe they're going to make it 3-0. And frankly, I'm saying this right now, they almost did. We'll get to that in a second. By the way, Julien Gauthier, the recent acquisition from the New York Rangers, draws in for the first time as an Ottawa Senator today. He wears number 77, which honestly I love. I love double-digit numbers for forwards, and 77 is sick. And by the way, this is the first Senator to wear number 77 since legend Joe Corvo. And for Gauthier, Derek Brassard draws out, which is a little shocking to me. I figured an Austin Watson or a Gambrell would draw out. But at the same time, I mean, Watson's on the trade block, projected to be traded within the next couple weeks, so that makes sense. And Gambrell, I mean, luckily they didn't take him out. I'll leave it at that, because the guy, he hasn't scored or gotten a point in 32 games or so, and let's just say that might have ended today. So let's head to the first period of play, and early on, Kevin Mandolese is standing on his head. I mean, really standing on his head, just like he did last week against the New York Islanders in that 46-save win, his first in the National Hockey League and his first NHL game, and his second NHL game today. Fantastic start, especially against one of the top power plays in the National Hockey League, the Boston Bruins power play. Early on, some tough stops, but unfortunately the Bruins would strike 15 minutes into the first period of play. Jake DeBrusk would open the scoring as Brad Marchand beats Zaitsev in the corner. Chabot and Stützle cannot cover the front of the net as DeBrusk takes the shot and puts home his own rebound over the right shoulder of Kevin Mandolese. The Bruins strike. It's 1-0, and we'll talk about this later in the video, but Mando is definitely a little too deep in his net on this one. He has to challenge the shooter a little bit there, but once again, a defensive breakdown is to blame. It's not Mandolese's fault on that one. But luckily for Ottawa, they're not going to the second period of play down by 1. They're going to the second period of play tied at 1. 30 seconds left. Dylan Gambrell in the corner with a beautiful effort as he falls. He feeds Claude Giroux, who makes a silky move to tuck it 5-hole past Allmark. Ottawa ties it. It's 1-1 on a beautiful play here from Dylan Gambrell to Claude Giroux, and that's Gambrell's first point in 35 games. So I guess it's a great thing that Gambrell was kept in the lineup. Ottawa goes to the second period of play tied at 1 apiece against the top team in the National Hockey League, the Boston Bruins. We go to the second period, and look, Ottawa definitely got outplayed in this period. I think shots midway through were like 10-2 in favor of the Boston Bruins, but Ottawa, the back check from the forwards was fantastic. The defenders were blocking shots. Zub and Brandstrom especially stopped a couple of goals from going in. Brandstrom stole a puck, a cross-crease pass. Zub, great back check to knock away a 2-on-1 pass. The defenders were playing out of their minds. Everyone really played as a unit today, and they really played hard. They didn't give the Bruins any space easily, and more importantly, didn't give them prime opportunities without putting in a hell of an effort. Ottawa really played hard today, and they really kept up with the Boston Bruins, and on a back-to-back situation on the road, I mean, it really was impressive what Ottawa was doing. But unfortunately, the offensive attack from the Boston Bruins would eventually prevail. With a couple minutes left in the second period of play, David Pastrnak would score his 40th of the season. He sniped it. Once again, Kevin Mandolese, he was too deep in his net here. He has to come out and challenge shooters. Pastrnak has an electric shot, and more likely than not, with all that space, which, by the way, how the hell is Pastrnak so open? But with all that space, Pastrnak likely would have shot it top shelf anyways. But Mandolese absolutely has to challenge the shooter much more. You can't give him that much space, especially to a guy like David Pastrnak. So that's 40 goals on the year. Holy cow for Pastrnak. The Bruins are a wagon as they lead 2-1 going to the third period of play. And honestly, Ottawa put in a hell of an effort in the third period of play. Really kept up with the Boston Bruins. You could tell the Senators were a little tired in that third period. You know, the back-to-back and the mental stress of playing 2 games in 48 hours was definitely starting to show. But they kept up with them, got some good chances. But unfortunately, the Bruins would put it away with about 6 minutes left in the game. McAvoy chips a pass up, past Brandstrom, who was caught up on the ice. David Pastrnak, he sprung on a breakaway. You know what he's going to do. He puts it 5-hole past Mandolese to give the Bruins a 2-goal lead. It's 3-1. And Ottawa would put in a hell of an effort in the last few minutes of play. Got a power play as well, but could not put it in as the Ottawa Senators fall to the Boston Bruins 3-1. In a game in which Ottawa went toe-to-toe and at times outplayed the best team by a long shot in the National Hockey League in a back-to-back situation on the road. I have no complaints whatsoever after this loss. It would have been great, I mean really, really great, you know, to get at least a point out of this one, maybe even two. Steal the win or at least force it to overtime. But losses like this are fine. It was a complete effort. But this shows why the loss against a team like Chicago the other day is so critical for Ottawa's playoff aspirations, because you just can't lose those games when you're going to have games like this against the Boston Bruins quite frequently in the next couple of months. Ottawa, they played like 30 more games in the season. 20 of those games are against playoff teams from last year. It's not going to be an easy test the last couple of months for the Ottawa Senators. So games like Chicago are games Ottawa has to capitalize on to keep pace with these teams they're chasing. And by the way, there's 7 teams they're chasing, okay? So it's a really, really tough playoff battle right now, and every point matters. So it would have been great to get a point or two out of this one. This one really shows why those games against teams like Chicago are must wins. Some other game notes, like I said already, it was a complete defensive effort. The forwards backchecked really, really hard, and the defenders blocked plenty of shots. More importantly, the Bruins power play, 7th in the National Hockey League, went 0 for 4. I mean, Ottawa today was fantastic on the penalty kill, and Kevin Mandolese, by far, was the best penalty killer. He made some fantastic stops, including some huge point-blank robbery stops. One comes to mind right away, David Krejci, playing in game number 1,000 in his NHL career, almost scored today on the power play. Kevin Mandolese with the left pad said, no, 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 not today. By the way, 29 saves on the night for Kevin Mandolese. He needs to challenge shooters a bit more, though, definitely. But overall, played a fantastic game. And for his long-term projectability, obviously, I'd like to see him come out and challenge the shooters a bit more. But you can't complain. I mean, he's the 4th-string goaltender making his 2nd career NHL start, and he was thrust into a back-to-back situation on the road against the best team in the National Hockey League, and he gave the Senators a chance to win it. So I'm not going to blame this loss on Kevin Mandolese. He's a rookie. They make mistakes. It's part of the growing pains, and I would assume that Kevin Mandolese through the years is going to improve on his positioning. But once again, a great effort there from Kevin Mandolese, great effort by the defense, and great effort from the forwards too. Yeah, they only got 1 goal, but look, the back checking and the blocking and the way they were really clogging the lanes in their own offensive zone was fantastic. They really did not give the Bruins any space. And once again, it was a complete effort. It just sucks. It was in a back-to-back situation against the best team in the National Hockey League, the best goaltender. It would have been really great to get a point out of this one, but Ottawa, I mean, look, you can't hang your head on this one. It was a fantastic effort, and I can't say it enough. Now, I just want to mention one more thing. Julien Gauthier, as I mentioned earlier in this video, first game as an Ottawa Senator, played the least amount of minutes on the ice for the Ottawa Senators in their forward core with just under 10 today. But I liked his game. He had 2 shots and 2 hits today. He uses his large frame and decent speed to create some chances off the rush as well. So Julien Gauthier, he's a 4th-line guy. I think he's nice for the next couple of years. He's 25 years old. He's young. Big frame, good speed. That's exactly what you want on your 4th line. And more importantly, Chabot took a shot in the first period of play, and he was ready to throw down his gloves and defend his teammate. So I love that, especially if Ottawa's going to trade a guy like an Austin Watson. We don't really have a quote-unquote enforcer long-term. Julien Gauthier could be that guy. If he could carve out that role as the 4th-line grinder that will drop them for his teammates, I think he has a good future here at the Ottawa Senators. Once again, with that speed and that large frame, he definitely could create some offense as well. So I liked his game, and I look forward to watching him moving forward. I think he has a lot to show in the next 30 or so games for your Senators. Now, besides that, the next Senator game is in a long time. It's on Friday against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll have a video out on Wednesday as I'm going to discuss, you know, I didn't really mention this too much in the last video. I just briefly went over it, but I want to do a little bit of a longer video thanking you guys and just discussing how important and how special this is for us. So I'll put a video about that on Wednesday just to thank you guys and just go a little bit more in depth on it. Once again, thank you to everyone that voted for us. So we'll put a video for that on Wednesday. But yeah, the next Sens game is on Friday. So I'll see you in a couple days for that. And then on Friday for the Sens game. So besides that, once again, a tough loss. But Ottawa put in a hell of an effort. Really proud of how they played. And it's great to see the Ottawa Senators once again playing with a lot of confidence. So besides that, I'll see you all soon. Go Sens, go.